Available at prisonplanet.com. Or if you'd like, you can give the InfoWars store a call at 888-253. We are now into the fourth hour. G. Edward Griffin is our guest. Coming up, we'll be taking your phone calls at 1-800-259-9231. We'll even skip some of the breaks for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. We'll continue on with G. Edward Griffin during a few of the breaks. Or people listening on the Infowars.com stream should go over there to be able to hear the behind-the-scenes stuff. G. Edward Griffin, we're going to give out his website, Freedom Force International, how to get involved. Great guy. Been around since 1959, fighting the New World Order, best-selling author. Without getting too sidetracked into this, but I think it's important to have discussions about this sometime. It'll be the same guy who comes out with fake Amero coins, who later comes out as a known FBI operative hooked in with Sean Hannity. And then he'll come out and say there was a secret session of Congress. Or other groups will put out, Nasara, the government's secretly good and everything's fine. Or Leo Wanta got trillions of dollars and he's good, but only trust him. Everyone else secretly works for the Pope. And you can always tell these government things, they're designed for the lowest common denominator and to get idiot camp followers to kind of go along with it. Instead of saying, we can work together, we're positive, the average person's good, it's evil at the top, we can affect change, we need to stop the collectivist. You notice that these groups that are government operatives, they never are issue specific. They never get into how things work or about what the government's doing or what the corporations are doing. It's always about what other patriots are doing. And that's why I've been trying to wake up people to stop being part of this bellicose mental illness. Do you see what I'm saying, G. Edward Griffin?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm very grateful that there is a voice such as yours, Alex, that is such a strong voice and heard by so many people that's preaching common sense on this. Because, this has been going on for a long time. You mentioned I've been in this battle more or less since about 1959, and this was going on even then, believe it or not. But unfortunately, back in those days, there was no real strong voice against it that reached very many people. And people fell for it. All the patriots fell for it, which is, I think, one of the reasons that nothing really developed over the years in the way of a strong counterforce against this. So they were divided against each other. They fell for all of these ploys, and so we see the result of it today. But thank God you're out there telling the truth today, and we're trying to do the same thing with Freedom Force International. So maybe this time around we'll have a little better shot at it. This is really a war for the brain, is it not?
It is.
Always behind that veiled fist or that velvet fist, or the glove, I should say. Behind the glove is the fist. I'll finally get it out right here. But, there's always the threat of physical force and coercion. But really, the greatest strides that our opponents have made in capturing the American people and in other countries as well is by capturing their brains. They capture their minds, their information flow. They engineer their opinions. And this is how they control people today. And so we have to be alert to that and have strong leaders that can help us to, weed through these rough paths and find out which are the stepping stones that are safe and which ones are dangerous. And that's the battle we have today.
Now, the establishment is trying to focus, though, in on organized groups and websites and authors and attacking networks and things like that. But overall, the loss of confidence in the state and in the organized system, the top-down hierarchical structure, is so massive, and people are becoming more and more distrustful, that I'm intellectually pretty sure that the elite is in for some very rough times themselves. And, of course, they've foreseen that and tried to build up a oppressive grid to counter that, and they've written about how they foresaw it. But I think the wave of resistance is so big that they've got a crisis of conscience themselves, and even their own minions are saying, do I want to be part of this?
Yeah, I think you're quite right. But they're committed. I don't think the guys at the top are going to have any option to turning around. They're committed. So they're not going to back down, and I think the only hope we have is to beat them at their own game, to overpower them. And we do have numbers, and we do have truth on our side. They're truly on the dark side. And
they are on the dark side.
Strong advantage, yeah.
Like Cheney said in that interview, he says, we're working on the dark side. Stay there. I'm going to talk to you during the break for the Infowars.com stream listeners, and then we'll come back for everybody else on the other side.
It is a big idea.
G. Edward.
A new world order.
In the near future.
John, go ahead and bring me up to G. Edward.
Okay, 1 second here. Go ahead.
G. Edward, we won't do too many of these behind-the-scenes breaks today. I'm sorry I got you on late. I got behind, but I do want to take some time out for solutions. Do you think it's a good idea to talk some about the staged election and maybe all these phony green taxes and this whole green hype, repackaging socialism?
Yeah, I'd be glad to add my 2 cents to it. You've covered it so well, but yeah, I don't think it can be overstated.
What else? What are other little tidbits you want to cover?
Oh, I don't know about tidbits. Those are the main topics, aren't they? I think the phony elections, how could you overstate that? You could talk about that all day long.
It is amazing, and then take some time out to take some calls. If we were to go 10 minutes over because we got you on late, would that be okay with you?
Oh, absolutely, sure.
Okay, you know what then? How about 20 minutes into overdrive?
That's fine with me.
Okay, well then you'll be gone in an hour and 15 minutes, sir.
Right.
We will be back live in just a moment. We might as well just go ahead and fill this time up for the listeners on Infowars.com and also the PrisonPlanet.tv viewers right now. We're going to restate this on the main program, but go ahead and fire out some of your websites and books.
Okay, well, the books. We'll start with those. I think the one that is of most interest to most of your listeners is the one on the Federal Reserve System. It's The Creature from Jekyll Island, a second look at the Federal Reserve. And the other one that is of great interest to a lot of your listeners, I think, is the one on cancer. It's called World Without Cancer, the story of vitamin B17. And it's about an alternative control for cancer, a non-toxic control for cancer, called Laetrile. In its natural form, it's called amygdalin, but it doesn't make any difference what it's called. It's something that's found in nature. It's in edible plants. And the people who have a diet that's pretty rich in this substance have a very extremely low incidence of cancer. So that would be a book that many people should be interested in. We've got a lot of videos and audio programs, just as you do, and all of this is found on our commercial site, which is called The Reality Zone. That's at www.realityzone.com. So that's the money grubbing site.
Hey, you got to raise money, buddy. Believe me, I understand and know how it is. People say you should. It's not enough to give your films free away on the internet. You should broadcast from a ditch with a tin can. And I got news for them. To fight the New World Order, we can't tax people and make them give us their money like the globalists do. We have to ask people to support us, and they should. Okay, we're going back to the main transmission. Here we go.
The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
G. Edward Griffin is our guest. At the bottom of the hour, I promise we're going directly to your calls. He'll be with us at least 20 minutes into overdrive today. We'll be going to 3:20 Central Standard Time today. G. Edward Griffin, we were talking about the ways the globalists distract us, divert us. They try to destroy our unity. And I don't mean our unity as one organization. I don't want one group fight the New World Order. I want lots of attack frigates out there going after them. But I mean unity of purpose, our manifesto, what we believe in, the liberty, ideas like that. But then shifting gears back into, for the mainline people that are still tuned into the false paradigm, they keep saying Barack Obama is about making us believe in each other again, bringing us back together. Well, what they mean is not bringing us back together, but bringing us back into being conned by the state, conned by the left-right paradigm, conned by the two parties one more time, taking us for one more ride while they finish getting their police-state control grid in. And let me be clear, I'm not even entertaining a debate here. I'm not bashing Barack Obama here. The guy's a total puppet, runs nothing, nice, handsome, friendly, smart guy, but he's a globalist. I dislike him less than Hillary because she's been around a while. She's the devil I know and know she is a devil, but it doesn't matter. So me saying Barack Obama is a fake is I'm not saying Hillary's good. I'm not saying McCain's good. They're all bad. And so occasionally they give you a new puppet to make you think that things have changed. I'm not trying to take hope away here. I want you to know there's hope in real resistance, in a real awakening, in local government, in you taking action, in you running for office, in you educating others, instead of wasting all our energies like all these young people are doing. Starry-eyed, I just love Hillary. I love McCain. I love Obama. You know, you see all these, intelligent, great-looking college girls just out there dedicating themselves to Hillary or Barack Obama, or all these well-meaning business people for McCain, when they're all America killers. They're all globalists. G. Edward Griffin.
Well, what can you say? That's true, and the reason they're that way is because their opinions have been engineered by the media, and to a large extent by the educational system that some of those younger people are still in. When you look at the campaign rhetoric of these major candidates, they can talk for hours and not really say anything, but they're masters at using words that sound good, like, well, Obama's famous word, change. We want change. Every chance, yes, change. But if you asked any of them, well, what would you change? There'd probably be dead silence because they don't know. They say, well, we'll change the name. We'll change the name from Bush to Obama or something, But they have no idea of political principles. They have never even thought about the proper role of government or what the Constitution says about what these candidates are allowed or specifically not allowed to do. They haven't a single thought in their entire brains about political concepts, but yet they're out there carrying these banners and chanting, as you said, and they're all starry-eyed over some kind of a word game, just change or compassion or patriotism or who knows what these words mean in the inner recesses of their minds. But they certainly don't mean anything in the realm of political principle. And until the American people start thinking about political principles once again, there is no hope. So you're quite right when you say, why should we even entertain a debate or try to choose up sides between all three of these word masters? And it's not just them, it's the organizations that support them, when the real issues are never allowed to be even discussed in such a debate. And so, yes, our job has to be not to get entrapped by this so-called two-party system, when in reality it's not a two-party system.
Well, it's a carnival distraction. It's like having a traveling carnival, a troupe of trained monkeys dance in front of you while somebody sneaks up on you to stab you in the back. It's distraction. It's the same thing that the magician does, where he has his beautiful assistant bend over in front of the crowd while he stages the hat trick.
It works every time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was the theme of my presentation when I was there in Austin a few weeks ago. As you remember, we called it the Quigley formula, and it was named after Professor Carroll Quigley, who wrote the book Tragedy and Hope, who was a sort of an unofficial or maybe an official historian for a secret society founded by Cecil Rhodes, and we went into all of that history. And the reason that history is interesting and the reason it's important is because without an understanding of how the two-party systems came into being, if you don't know the history, if you don't know the fact that there is an organization that has a strategy for doing exactly what we're complaining about here, people would say, well, I guess it just happened. Well, no, it didn't just happen. This came about as a result of a very well thought-out plan. It's being implemented today by people who have names, who belong to an organization that has a name, has a headquarters in New York, and all of that. And so once you tell people about the facts behind what's happening and the names and the places and the dates, then all of a sudden it becomes real. Other than that, before they have all that information, they'll just look at you and say, what are you talking about? I don't think that's true. And so what we're facing now is the fact that the people of America are starving for information and factual data.
Oh, I agree with you.
That's our role.
I agree with you. They are starving, and so they give them real simple pap like change, knowing that stacked up against the two establishment candidates, that another establishment candidate can be slipped in on them. Talk a little bit about the Quigley formula, because there are hundreds of published PhD level elite text used by globalist managers, and I know I've read scores of them, and they talk about how we're dumb animals, and they talk about how we'll never read how they're calling us dumb animals. And, I mean, is it frustrating to you? Because that's one of the things that drives me crazy, that some good old boy at the gym will waddle over and make fun of me saying I believe in imaginary groups when, you know, the heads of political science divisions of top universities, you know, write books about how they engineer the shadow government system and how we run nothing. I mean, it's very frustrating to know that we've spent the time to read all these books and watch these people on C-SPAN, and then the public... I mean, I hate the globalists, but at the same time, the public has been engineered to like laugh at us for trying to save them. I mean, it's disgusting.
Well, yeah, and you have to not blame the public to a certain extent, because they're just the products of programming, very effective programming. Although I still think that if anybody had any kind of an instinct for truth, they would somehow break through that. I guess we did somehow. I don't know whether that was to our benefit or simply because of an accident that happened along the way. But in any event, yeah, it is frustrating. But the bottom line is that this is not imaginary. And anybody who has any intellectual curiosity or honesty about them would say, okay, where are your facts? And then that's where we come in. Here are the facts. And I found that generally, if you have the ability to present the facts without being interrupted, you know, give me 20 or 30 minutes, and if people are interested enough to sit and listen to a presentation for 20 or 30 minutes, I'll convince them. Because not that I convince them, but the facts will convince them, because they're irrefutable. So that's our job, is to find those people, and that won't be many, probably 3% or less, who have the intellectual curiosity and the intellectual honesty to ask the question, where are your facts? And that's all we need, Alex, and you know that. We don't need that magic 51% of the population. The majority never determined anything. They're always led by the few, 3% or less, who can generate a majority by the strength of their leadership. And that's what we must do. That's what our enemies have done. And as you know, that's what Freedom Force is all about, is to move into the power centers of society, those groups and organizations that people belong to, that lead the political thinking of the nation. We have to become influential in those groups now, just the way our opponents have in the past.
Well, now again, I'm trying to be subtle here, not that I'm delicate or not that I'm even well-spoken. Maybe I haven't explained it right to some people. I'm not against the militia. I believe in the militia. I'm a member of the militia, 18 to 44. We're all part of it. And it's in our Constitution, and the feds say we have no right to own guns. It's only an organized militia, but that didn't exist till 1907. So we know it's our right to keep and bear arms. This is to defend against criminals and the government, and I've read the Federalist Papers and others on air. But then you've got what the modern militia movement is, and that's feds setting up innocent, good people. And usually the militia leaders are feds, and it's a thing of paranoia. Don't trust your neighbors. Meet us behind the barn. And then the fed says, let's build a bomb so they can send a bunch of innocent farmers to jail and then asset forfeiture of their farms. And then I get on air and I say, watch out. We're up front. We're in suits and ties. We're well-spoken. We're the good guys. But the feds, when they run these operations, they've tried to always steer our movement into hiding and like it's secret agent stuff. And it's all, oh, my God, everyone's watching you and wanting to get you. And I'm saying, no. This isn't a thing of paranoia. We are the good guys. We're out in the town square with the white hat at high noon saying, bring it on. Do you see the point I'm making?
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And, it has always worried me deeply as to the character that the militia movements have taken. They just they're going in the wrong direction, and I think the reason, as you've just stated, is because they are under the influence of agents provocateurs who are sent in there to do that, just to mess it up so it won't possibly work.
Oh, we've caught them hundreds of times in every case. It turns out that's what they do.
Mm-hmm. So they're smart. Okay, they're smart. Now, what are we going to do about it? Let's be just as smart. Let's not let them win that game. Let's be aware of it and move around them.
Well, I mean, I remembered when I was just a mainline conservative, but fighting for property rights locally, I'd have a guy show up at an event and say, I want to work with you, let's kill cops. and I'd follow him outside, and the guy'd get in an unmarked cop car. And, you know, I mean, it's just, these people are criminals. Dirtbag slime. And, well, Texas Monthly caught the FBI creating a Klan group trying to get them to blow up a chemical plant. They were so dumb, the FBI couldn't get them to do it.
It is a big idea. A new world order.
In the near future, Earth is dominated